Okay, in this tutorial, you're going to need to open up the spreadsheet that you'll find in this assignment, which is titled, How is the Size of the Sahara Changing? And once you've opened it, you will find that you've got some data going back to the year 1900, when we find that the size of the Sahara was 6.2 million kilometers squared. Okay, that's how big the Sahara Desert was. And what you're going to be doing to see whether it is growing or not, to see if this problem of desertification is getting worse, you're going to have to create a graph. Okay. Now, the graph we're going to want to create to show change over time, and that's what we're looking at from 1900 to 2020, would always be a line graph. Okay. So we're going to want to use a line graph to show our data. And then we're going to be asked to complete another task that you'll find in the assignment, which is to describe that change. And I'll talk about that in a second. So step one, let's create the graph. So to create a graph in the Google Sheet, you need to highlight the cells you want. So you'll notice I've not just highlighted the dates and the data, the size of the Sahara Desert, but I've also highlighted the title. Now, here I'm going to add year as a title, because that's what that information is. These are the years, and here is the size. So let's highlight that again, and we're now going to create a graph. So we hit this little icon over here on our sheet, and that's going to allow us to create a graph. And you will see it select, and it's automatically selected for me a line graph, which is what I was looking for. Now, if it hadn't selected the line graph, if it maybe created a bar graph, I'd have to go over here to the chart editor, and I would need to change it to a bar. But we don't want to use a bar, we want to use a line graph, because a line graph is the correct way of showing how something is changing over time. Now, there's a few final things we need to do. We've got our axis label, and the reason we've got that axis label is it's come from there. We've also got the year, because it's come from there. But our title, is it suitable? Well, we might want to change our title. So if I double click on the graph, that will allow me bring up the chart editor. I want to make sure the customize is selected. I want to click on the chart axis title, and I want to see that chart title is selected. If I'd wanted to change maybe the horizontal or the vertical axis, I could click on these and change them. But I just want to change the title. And I don't want to call it. I actually want to call it changes in the size of the Sahara Desert over time. And you'll notice up there, it's coming up in the title, and that's my graph. So the next step I want to do is select my graph, and I want to copy it into my document. So I've got it selected here, and I can go to Edit, Copy, and then I want to find my Google Doc where I'm completing my assignment, and I want to paste it into my Google Doc. Okay, so let me just open up that Google Doc, and you would want to put it in underneath the task in this document. Okay, so if I was wanting to paste it in my Google Doc, I would just select where I want to put it, like here, and then I would go to Edit, and I would click Paste. Okay, there is a shortcut on your keyboard for doing this, which is Control-V if you're wanting to paste, and Control-C actually is what you would use to copy. Okay, and it is just in the process of thinking and pasting that graph. Okay, right, I did say I would answer the question as well. So let's just click back to the spreadsheet. So the second task is, once you've created your graph, is to describe what the graph shows. Okay, so why does this prove that the desert's spreading? Does this prove that desertification is happening? Well, yes, because the desert spreading is desertification, but what's the evidence? So if I was describing it, I would say in 1900, the Sahara Desert was just over 6 million kilometers squares in size. But by the year 2000, it has grown to 7.5 million square kilometers and 8 million square kilometers by the year 2020, which proves it is growing. And that's all you have to do. When you describe a graph, you've just got to give some evidence from the graph, and that means give some data, and that allows you to then prove that it is growing because you've provided the evidence. Okay, so make sure you answer that question too, using my little bit of advice there on how to describe the changes in the Sahara Desert.